Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast
with your host, the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Settling into the second half of the baseball season. We made it through the All-Star break. We made it through the trade deadline. There is one thing to go back to the All-Star game that we both caught on to, but we didn't mention last week. And that was, and what brought it up for me the other day, I was watching the Cubs and Cardinals play, and Shota Imanaga is pitching. And we had talked about here on the podcast the fact that the whole Starbucks story, or and on his locker it says Mike Imanaga II. And when he came into the game at the All-Star game, the whoever the DJ was on top of it and was playing and played, or was it the organist? But they played.
No, it was a song.
Like Mike, be like Mike, like the song about Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But they were playing that when Shota was coming in, and that was a fun moment in the game. If you picked up on it, I don't know how many people knew what was going on, but that was pretty cool. And probably if we went back and saw when he came into the game, on video, the announcers probably picked up on that, I would think.
I would hope that they did. Yeah, that was fun when they started playing that. Made me laugh.
Yeah, that was good. We both realized it. It was like, oh yeah, okay. That's why they're playing that. Because it didn't really think about it at first, and then we realized who came into the game. So anyway, yeah, it was cool. So let's get started today. First off, remember to find us on our social media at Twitter, Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
Website, siblingrivalrybb.com. And you can get all kinds of great gear off of Fanatics, including the hats that, and oddly enough, not every team's getting them, but the hats for the Players Weekend, which comes up not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. So I don't know that that's a big deal. Just something else to spend your money on and help support the show. This week we are going to talk Angels, Dodgers, and we've got Players of the Month, the Hot Dog Vendor of the Month, all that stuff coming up in around baseball. So let's get things fired up here on the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Well, the Angels had a split. They had a winning series and a losing series. Basically the same. They won 1 of 3 and won 2 of 3 in the other. Something that I just saw recently, John Heyman, one of our favorites. Somebody please post the sarcasm sign. The sarcasm sign is illuminated. Anyway, John Heyman, though, was on a podcast or something, and he did have something that's interesting about the Angels. He said he thinks if Perry Minasian stays, and he does believe that Perry's going to get another year, at least a new contract, whatever the length of that is, but that as long as he stays, Ron Washington is safe. But if they fire him and bring in a new general manager, Ron Washington is most likely going to be fired. He'll be on the hot seat because they didn't win. But I think that if somebody else came in, I get that a new general manager wants to bring in their own manager, but I think that's a dumb idea because you can see the Angels, these kids are playing well Mike Trout is done for the season. Anthony Rendon did come back just after 10 days. So we'll
Surprise.
see. We'll see what happens there. The Angels were rained out in the first game of their series with the Yankees, which was his first day back. So we'll see what happens, for the rest of the time if he picks up. I don't know where they're going to put him. I should look and see what they did with him in the doubleheader. But regardless, Rendon hasn't been needed either. Zach Neto picked it up. He's moved from the bottom of the order to number 2 in the order. Obviously, part of that's by necessity, but he's proven he can hit number 2, and he's been there. Logan O'Hoppe also. It's so much easier. You can tell Logan O'Hoppe is really making a name for himself, and he moved up to number 3 in the batting order because you don't have to stop and think, how do you say his last name? It just flows now. O'Hoppe automatically flows because he's made a name for himself. So I think that while it can be a little hard to watch the Angels play sometimes, they're still, you can see that they're they're working on it. They're coming around. And as we talked about recently, when we found out about Mike Trout being out for the rest of the season, another tear in his meniscus. And last week when we were talking about it, there had been good news. It was just a matter of restarting the rehab again, kind of going back to the middle and reworking it again. And like 2 days after the MRI that was supposed to be good news, he was hurting more. Called Ron Washington or Perry Manassian or both and said, "Hey, I have a terrible pain in my knee." New MRI showed that a second tear, and he's done for the season. And then to top it all off, a guy who's a young guy, but a veteran young guy, Luis Rengifo, who had some issues, now is also gone for the season because of wrist surgery. So they're going to depend upon these guys. And now we're watching Christian Moore tear up the minors, 5 home runs or 3 home runs in 5 minor league games. He's probably going to get called up next week sometime. Nolan Shanuel was called up a month after he was drafted. So I think Christian Moore is going to get called up to play second base here before the end of the month.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense because that's the Angels' MO. I mean, you draft somebody, give them a little bit of time, and then bring them up, because what else can you do?
Zach Neto started that way, came up less than a year after he was drafted. Shanuel was in there. O'Hoppe, even though he's got a couple more years on these guys, but he could have actually been in the minors, but they brought him up when they got him from Philadelphia and started using him right away. So yeah, why not bring him up? And I still contend that this is a AAA club overall compared to other clubs, that these guys are learning right on the job. This is true OJT for the major leagues.
Yeah, definitely.
So Dodgers, like I said, Angels started off with the Rockies, and they took with the Rockies, they took 2 of the with the Rockies, they lost 2 of the 3. They beat them the first game out 10-7, and overall good game. They're having, just like a lot of teams, they're having injury issues, as we were just talking about. But these young guys, Griffin Canning had a tough game that in that particular one, he gave up 6 of the 7 runs. But Jose Quijada, who came back from being on the IL for all season, comes back in and pitched well. In this one, he blew the save because he gave up that 7th run. But since he's been back, he's been overall pretty consistent. And Ben Joyce, I think, has put himself in position to be the closer. The other day he versus and we'll talk about that in the next versus the Mets. He came in and threw 104.7.
That's crazy. That's really fast.
On his way to throwing 105. But the thing is, he showed that he's not that one trick pony that he was last year and what he tried to do the beginning of this year. And they've taught him how to pitch a little better. And so that, and then Joe Adell actually seems to be, he's working on it. He's having more good moments than bad, and I've actually seen him make a couple of decent plays in the outfield that would have been disasters in the past for him.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned this last week. When you look at like Joe Adell, who we've often compared to Gavin Lux of the Dodgers, and maybe there was something with the trade deadline. Maybe something was, a thought in their head, or maybe they thought maybe they will go and I could be part of something and I want to stay here. And if I stay here, I got to produce.
All Gavin Lux needs to do, or Joe Adell needs to do, is take a look at all the posts of Miguel Vargas in Chicago.
That poor guy.
To know that the last thing they want to do is get traded for Garrett Crochet or whatever.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And a team that lost 21 in a row before finally a win. And so yeah, that's they picked it up. Who knows how long it will last? We'll see. I think actually Gavin Lux is actually having a better surge overall.
Yeah,
than Joe
but
Adell,
I mean, maybe he's getting there. Maybe a Joe Adell is getting there. Maybe the attitude. I think it's the attitude. That's something we've always talked about with Joe Adell, is the attitude. I think the dynamic of the team is different without Mike Trout, but Mike Trout hasn't been with the team. I mean, he's in the dugout. You see him sometimes, he'll be with them.
A lot of the time that his knee, that he was rehabbing and all that stuff, he didn't travel with the team. You didn't see him very much. And now one of the things that they talked about is him being in the dugout and being around the young players.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Rod Washington mentioned that we want to keep him around here. And even though he can't play, he can be a good influence.
Well, I think, too, that maybe helps Trout out, just his psyche, because he wants to play baseball, but he has the worst. I mean, worse luck, the worst. It just is bad. How many seasons, like when's the last time he played a full season?
Oh, it's been probably 2019.
Right.
Because 2020 was shortened.
Yeah.
21, 22, and 23, he has missed a bulk of, figure last year, with the exception of one game in the middle because he came back too early.
Right.
He missed from when he went out with that hamate bone. He missed all of last year. And then this year he's been out since what, like early May or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and the year before, same thing. He ended up, later on getting shut down. It just, or no, he got out, came back, was doing well. And then, but yeah, he's just not had, I'm trying to remember the number that I saw where he was, over the last 4 years, how many games he actually played.
Now, I saw a joke one, a parody, obviously, and it said Mike Trout had missed over the last 4 years or whatever it may have been, 8,322 games. and maybe it feels like that. Maybe
Yeah,
for
no
Mike
doubt.
Trout, it feels like it's 8,000 games. But yeah, it's a lot. And it's sad. Mike Trout is a good ball player, but he just injury prone, which is unfortunate.
Lately, he can't seem to stay healthy. Looking right now, just to get an idea of the last couple of years. So this year, he played 29 games and then was done. Last year, he played 82 games. In 2022, he played 119. And then in 2021, he only played 36 games. So over the last 4 seasons, he hasn't played that much.
166 games.
Right, 166 games. And what's 162 times 4?
648 games.
Right, so he's just played a sliver, a small amount.
He's played a season, right, over
of the last 5
right.
or 4.
Yeah.
But before that, he was doing pretty well. 53 games out of the 60 in 2020. He had a couple of back-to-back seasons, 2015, 2016. He played 159, so all but 3 games. In 2019, he played 134. In 2018, he played 140. So, he hasn't been healthy. He keeps, dropping off. And like I said, this year, just 29 games.
Yeah.
We're 130 or so into this season, a little bit more maybe. Yeah, we're just like about 110 games in. I think if I'm doing 115. So yeah, he's done, and hopefully he can help the young guys develop, because it doesn't seem like he's going to be there to play with them and help them out. And a lot of people were talking, this came up quite a bit in this next series we're going to talk about with the Angels, in that the Mets come to town, and JD Martinez, there were quite a few times that it was brought up, hey, he would be good with the Angels. And they were like, no, we need to have room for Mike Trout to DH sometime, or Anthony Rendon to DH sometime. And in the end, you missed out on a good hitter. I don't know that it would have changed their fortunes any, but maybe.
Yeah.
Because JD Martinez had a big impact on his teammates with the Dodgers.
Do you think? Well, I can't say that because they picked up Tyler Anderson. So I was going to say, do you think they didn't get him because he played with the Dodgers? But I guess that throws that out the window with Tyler Anderson.
The minute that he came available, they got it.
That's what I'm saying. He wiped off the Dodger stink. So they were good. They were good with that.
So
yeah, but you're right. I mean, you don't know what J.W. Martinez, what kind of impact he could have had on the Angels and especially the younger players. And because you look at them and they're young. It's a young team.
And yeah, they're very, very young. And he could have been, like I said, he as a veteran and as a hitter, he talked hitting with everybody. He talked hitting last season. He talked hitting with Freddie. He talked hitting with Mookie and veterans and it helped everybody. And he could have been doing the same thing with the Angels. Instead, the Angels got to look and see what he could do for what he's doing with the Mets. The Mets actually, I thought it'd be the other way around, but the Angels actually take the Mets 2 of 3. First game, Angels lose, but after that, they're able to take the next 2 games and win without having an issue, or having to do it in innings or anything like that. The Mets overall look good. J.D. Martinez in the second game went 2 for 4. See, they could have seen that. And he hit a grand slam against the Angels. But it was Zach Neto who hit a home run in the 7th inning, a 3-run homer that put them up and gave them the win 5-4 in that game. And then in the final game, the set they were able to win 3-2, and the Angels scored all of their runs in the 2nd and 3rd inning, while the Mets scored 1 in the 2nd and 1 in the 5th, and couldn't get it done from there. Griffin Canning actually pitching pretty well that game, just gave up the 2 runs but struck out 8, and the bullpen pitched really well, including Mike Baumann, who the Angels picked up from San Francisco. They were getting ready or they DFA'd him, and the Angels were like, "Oh, we'll take him."
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
We'll do that. And they said, "Okay, for cash, we'll do that." And then we were talking about this week, we would see some changes like the new players on new teams to start off this Mets series. The Angels got to see a pitcher they had seen in a couple of the games with Oakland, and Paul Blackburn started the first of the set. So Angels, like I said, you can't. We really do need to find the silver linings at this point, and I'm finding that in that I'm seeing players now. With Zach Neto's getting better with the bat, I don't know why or what, the announcers for the teams can be homers if they want to be. I don't have a problem with that, but sometimes I feel like they miss out on, or they misrepresent. So Mark Kubica is talking to Zach Neto and then talking about Zach Neto. And he goes, yeah, he's throwing strikes across the field. And, he's talking to him about, and Zach's telling him what he does and how he trains and what he likes to, or, how he plays certain things and what he's watching for. And he's like, he's throwing strikes across the field. And I'm saying, no, because I saw him in the game that I went to and watching him and playing in these games, even in the highlight reels where they're like, hey, he's doing a great job, great play. He constantly pulls Nolan Schanuel off the bag or almost off the bag. He's not throwing strikes because strikes would come right to him. So he's got to get better at setting and throwing that strike to Nolan Schanuel. As good as he's getting with the bat, he's still having some issues with his defense. And at shortstop, it's great when you can do both, but they're going to give you a little bit of a break if you're a better defensive player than an offensive player. And, at some point he's gonna end, if he can't get better at getting that throw across the field, he's going to have to figure out how to just be a DH if all he can do is hit. He's got to get better. He's still young. This is his first true full season. So, still some work, and we know that's what's going on with the Angels. All right. So we talked about that the Angels hit the road, got a rain out on their first game on Tuesday, doubleheader on Wednesday, and then wrapping things up today with the Yankees before heading to DC to take on the Nationals, and then they head back home after that. So we'll talk about those games next week. I don't know if when you look through, if anybody popped up as a player of the week. I need to give them a little bit more time from my standpoint. Zach Neto, Zetto, and Ohapi both are hitting well.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's I'm trying to remember what the guy's name they got called up for to take what's his name's spot, Renjifo's spot. They pulled up a guy who I believe was in. I don't remember if they called him up from AAA or if he was in with the Bees. Yeah, I think he was with the Bees. His name is Charles LeBlanc.
Ooh.
Got quite a fancy name.
Yeah.
And, I believe he was coming up and in to play, second base or third base, whatever they need. They also had brought up Michael Stefanik.
Yeah,
so
saw that.
Yeah, not real sure. Like I said, not sure what the deal is with Rendon, and what his what his deal is, as far as if they brought him back in DHing him, or if he's going to slide back into third base, or what's going to happen. He played, I think he played third base in the first game of the doubleheader yesterday. And then Monsieur LeBlanc.
I was just thinking, we're always like Luis Robert Jr., because you want it to be Luis Robert.
Right.
And this could be Charles LeBlanc.
LeBlanc.
Hopefully not in the batter's box. He's not LeBlanc.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, hopefully not.
That's fun to say. LeBlanc.
It is. And we'll see what happens with him if they decide to call up Christian Moore. So, did you have anybody in mind?
No, I don't.
Yeah, at this point, the biggest thing, the guys in the field are all going to figure it out. Mickey Moniak's working on it. Joe Adele working on it. You've got Kevin Pillar still around to help out. Taylor Ward, who's on the paternity list this week, but should be back probably in the time for DC.
I like that Kevin Pillar is still out there playing hard and making some spectacular catches. He made a really great one in the outfield, and but he's still doing it. Like, he's 10 years. He got 10 years of service. He's going to retire after this season. You could kick back a little, right? But he isn't. He's showing the way for the youngsters. Like, this is how you do it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right, 100%. That he's, you know what he's like since the Olympics are going on? He's like Gabby Thomas in the 200 meter, the women's 200 meters. She, the first 100 meters, she just figured out where she wanted to go. And then, or even better yet, I'd forgotten about this, and I don't remember her name, but from Bahrain in the steeplechase. So I don't know if you remember the steeplechase. I'd forgotten about it, but you're hopping hurdles, and then
Right.
you're even hopping and in water.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're running, and this is like a long. It takes them
Yeah.
about I think it was about 7.5 minutes to run it, but it's like the full track,
And
and you
there's
do like
obstacles, right?
right, and so you got to do obstacles, and then like 8 laps or something.
Yeah.
And all of the runners who were in front of this, there was like Ethiopia, Kenya, Nigeria, and then Bahrain. And so this the athlete that won from Bahrain, she's set back and she ran at about third or fourth for most of the time. And then when they got to the second, almost to the end of the second lap, she moved into second. And for that last lap, she was either right with the leader, who'd been the leader, had set the pace. And I think she was from Ethiopia, had set the pace. She goes, and just as they get like they're rounding, and they got like, the water. They jump through the water, and they've got one more hurdle to go, and she starts picking it up, and they're right next to each other. And as they hit the last hurdle, then she picks up and she starts going. That's Kevin Pillar right now. He is in that last sprint.
Yeah.
They've got roughly 2 months left, and he's in that. So this is about so he's setting himself here, and next month hopefully he'll be player of the month,
Yeah.
because
That'd
he's
be
going to just turn
awesome.
it on and finish up his September. I think the only sad part is, and I don't know what he thinks about it, is that he's not going to be able to play, after, because this year there is no, couple of games in October to finish out the season.
Yeah.
So no October baseball for the Angels this year.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that overall, just pitching really needs to come around.
It's always pitching.
It is,
Always.
even after all the pitching that was they drafted. We don't know. Sam Bachman, will he show up? We don't know. He's off the IL, but pitching in the minors. What's going to happen? That's what's got to come around. You need Reed Detmers to figure out. He started off great. He fell apart, and he never found his way back. And with all the pitching that the Angels have needed, you would think by now he would have found his way back. But nope. Oh, well, what you going to do? So what we need from them is the pitching to continue to get better. So they got to figure out the answers to that. But we are seeing the rest of the team start going. And maybe in a couple of years here, if they can fill in the right pieces, they can find their way back to the playoffs. And hopefully Mike Trout won't be injured when that happens.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
All right, let's head up the 5 to the ravine and see what's happening with the Dodgers. Actually, when we talk about the Dodgers, we're going to actually go down the 5 and catch up with them at Petco Park. maybe you don't want to catch up with them in Petco Park.
Not this time around.
No, short series, just 2 games. This time they still have another 3 games left, and that's going to be more towards the end of September. So it may come at a time that, depending on how things keep going, the Padres have been playing pretty well, and where are the Dodgers? When we get back to that, when we get to that point. Will they be fully staffed and ready to go? And will they be motivated to beat the Dregs? I believe that one's at home, but that's still over a month away. So let's talk Dodger baseball. You want to, a couple things that we talked about. I think we talked about this last week. Freddie Freeman being out. So the Dodgers are dealing with him being away. And this is a time I think I told you it'd been nice to have Max back there.
Yeah.
Because he could have gone and filled in at first base.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, Kevin Biggio was playing first base. And he didn't do a bad job. It's just, but I believe Freddie's supposed to be back. Or it did come back this week. And we'll talk about what happened with the series this week, but he came back to, for the Dodgers after missing 8 games?
8 games. Yeah. So they had gone to Houston. We had talked about his son, Max. It's one of their, they have twin boys. They have Charlie, and then they have the 2 then they have the twins, and Max is one of those twins. And we talked about, like, they were sick, had a cold, viral, in Texas, came back
in Arlington. Yeah. During the All-Star game.
And then it came back, still wasn't feeling well. They thought it was something else, like it settled in something, they called it like transient stenosis or something, where it settles in your hip and it's hard for you to move, to walk. It's painful. He's 3, so that's tough. I mean, it's tough for anyone, but a 3-year-old. Then he gets to Houston. He's with the team. He's doing warm-ups, and they're like, you have to get back immediately, because their son Max was put in the ICU, and they had Guillain-Barré syndrome, and that attacks the nerves in your body. And so that's everything, right? You walking, swallowing, just anything. So he was in the ICU, and that's where they stayed. I think he and his wife had shifts, so they'd each stay like a day and a half, so they could go home, get some rest, be with the other 2 boys. And then, but he had a lot of outpouring from the community. Mike Trout, who said, "Hey, I don't have anything to do. Let me bring you donuts," lots of outpouring. So it's good for Freddie to be back, but also great to hear that his son Max is better at home, and at 3 years old has to start PT, which Freddie says he hates, which I think anybody who has done PT hates. So he's doing better, but good to see Freddie back, and his family and his son on the mend, because that's scary when you have your child is when sick like that. All right, let's talk about San Diego. First game.
It's a really nice place to go visit.
Okay, yeah, it is. I have been to San Diego.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's a nice weather. Let's talk about the San Diego games, I guess. The first game looked, hey, this is trending up, right?
Right.
The problem with the Dodgers in the first game, they scored all of their runs in 1 inning. It was the first inning, and then nothing. That's not how it works. You can't I mean, sometimes you can maybe get away with that, but not when you're playing the Padres, because we all know how the Padres play against the Dodgers specifically.
Well, and honestly, things weren't so bad through the first 7 innings. There was still a chance.
Exactly.
Tyler
But
Glass now gave up 3 runs, but he struck out 8. He pitched well
overall. And so it was 5-3. So you're like, okay, this seems like going in, you can do this. But guess who comes in? Blake Trinan. Now, what's up with Blake Trinan? We'll get to that. We're going to talk about him later in another segment. But he gives up 2 home runs. It's like batting practice for the Padres. So then it's tied 5-5, and then they go to innings, and Padres get that 1 run that they need to win. Now, I want to talk about fake news. MLB and everyone else was saying the Padres came back from a 5-0 deficit. No, they didn't. They had 3 runs on the board. It wasn't 5-0, and they came back and beat them 6-5.
Right. They didn't do it all in the 10th inning.
Right. That's
they
how
scored. They scored their 3 in the 2nd and the 3rd.
Yeah.
And then they scored 2 more in the 9th, and then walked off with it. So they were tied at the end of regulation.
Right. So they made it sound like they miraculously just did it all.
Well, they did come back. It was 5-0 after the top of the first.
But not for the whole game.
No.
Fake news. What? Okay, let's move on.
Fake news, she says.
No, I just think that sometimes you look at headlines and you're like, right. I watched that game. That's what happened. But now, this next game.
Misrepresented.
Yes, thank you. Kershaw is pitching. When we saw him, we talked about his outing last week. Good to have Kershaw back on the mound. Not so much this week, not so much in San Diego. And I'm sure the Padres fans were eating it up because they were the ones their scoreboard operator infamously put the picture of Kershaw, crying on the big board. But this time, Kershaw only goes 3 2/3 innings, gives up 6 hits, 7 runs, but this is the kicker. Well, there's 2 kickers. 3 earned runs, 1 walk, no strikeouts, 0.
For the first time in like almost his whole career.
Exactly, like his whole, almost like 400 and so he had a streak of 423 regular season starts with at least 1 strikeout, and that streak was ended in San Diego. It was the longest since the mound was moved to its current distance in 1893. Now, this is the list of regular season starts with at least 1 strikeout. Clayton Kershaw, 423. Tom Seaver, 411. And this one really shocked me. Nolan Ryan, 382.
Yeah, you would have thought
he had like 1,000 game.
Right, you would think.
But so that, I think that one is that was a big one. No,
and they were
strikeouts.
And they were already going to have an issue in that game because Dylan Cease, in his first start after his no-hitter, coming in, and he's been pitching, well, all season anyway.
Right. And the Dodgers had 3 total hits in this game.
Only one of them off of Cease. They needed to get into the bullpen.
Yes, and it was 8-1 was the score there, but
further proving my point that if they can't hit good pitching, they're going to be in trouble because they already have a hard time hitting in the postseason anyway.
Right. And see, this is the thing. They have the pitching coach. They have the hitting coaches. And I often wonder, I see them, they're taking stats or whatever they're doing or doing crossword puzzles. I don't know what they do. What do they do? Because I feel like they're not doing their job when it comes. And okay, I get it that obviously it's the hitter, that has to make contact but aren't they supposed to analyze the swing and do, their analytical stuff? I don't feel like they're doing that. I feel like they just hang out in the dugout.
Maybe.
I don't know. So not a good series. Luckily, it was only 2 games.
But
it's a sweep. No, it's still a sweep. It was bad. It was,
and it was like it went from bad to worse because at least they scored 5 runs in the first game. They could only manage 1 in the second game.
1. That was it. It was a double. The one hit you talked about, it had 3 hits, but the one hit, Gavin Lux had a double off of Cease. So a 2-out, he had a 2-out RBI. That was the 1 run thanks to Gavin Lux. So yeah, San Diego, put that in the books, put it on a shelf. Don't ever look at that again. That was bad.
Yeah, forget about it, or because otherwise it's just going to eat you up. So you figure they're going to Oakland for their last time in the Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
And Oakland's, while I talked about Oakland last week, singing their praises about what a good team they're looking like and how a lot of guys are coming up and starting to contribute and play well. They're still not a very good team.
They're not, but I think you said it. You texted me and you said the A's can be sneaky good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we saw that, especially in this first game, and even in the last game. The first game against Oakland, the A's win this game 6-5. In the first inning, 2-run homer by Teoscar Hernandez, but then nothing until the 9th inning. And they couldn't get over the hump to beat either tie to go in his innings or get the 2 they needed to make it, 7-6. Also, Gavin Stone is on the mound, and I was singing his praises. Like, Gavin Stone looks great. Now it's like, what happened to Gavin Stone? Is it before the All-Star break and then after the All-Star break issue?
Could be. Yeah, because that's happens
what it
with
seems
rookies.
like. Yeah. So what's going? I mean, he only pitched 4 innings. He gave up 8 hits, 5 runs, and 2 of those home runs. And then Joe Kelly came in, gave up a run. So, and it was a home run. And Evan Phillips, Daniel Hudson, and Banda came in, and they looked really good, but it wasn't enough. So the bullpen came in, and after Joe Kelly, and shut it down so that Oakland wasn't going to score. But now you're looking at the offensively, and it's hard to look at the lineup. We don't have Freddie Freeman in the lineup, and your lineup is Ohtani, Smith, Lux, Teoscar, Jason Hayward, Biggio, Kike Hernandez, Kevin Kiermaier, and Ahmed Rosario. No, sorry, Nick Ahmed. Sorry, I got the wrong Ahmed. At the wrong end. It was a last name, not a first name. And so you look at that lineup and it's not impressive at all. But what do they do? I mean, their IL list is like Santa's list. They have a book and they open it, and every page is someone on the IL.
Mm-hmm.
It's just bad. But in that first game, yeah, all right, 6-5, they lose. It's the A's. But we go into Saturday's game, total change. And I think it was because there was excitement on the mound for their newly acquired pitcher, Jack Flaherty, who gets his first win as a Dodger. He looked good. He got himself out of a jam. Obviously, because of his experience, because he's a veteran, they're going to let him get out of that jam. But he did it and looked good. And
yeah, and he in his very first start, all by himself, brought jumbo jacks to the
yes, that's right. So he's already, everybody loves him. It's like, look at him. Yeah. 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. Also, I didn't mention this, but in San Diego, and I should have, Michael Kopech pitched in his debut, immaculate inning.
Yeah.
3 strikeouts. And then he came back and he pitched in Oakland and again looked really good. So
yeah, as long as he's got his control, he's really good. It's when he loses that control that becomes an issue.
Yeah, and we definitely don't want that to happen. And then that was a 10-0 win for the Dodgers. And I think the Dodgers they desperately needed that win, especially after this loss in San Diego. The loss is in San Diego. The loss that they had the night before, they needed a blowout win.
Yeah, 3 straight losses. They needed something.
Yeah.
And that can definitely make a difference. For sure.
Yeah, and so then going into Sunday's game, River Ryan is on the mound. The Dodgers win this game 3-2, but River Ryan only goes 4 2/3 innings. He had some flashes here and there, but again, it's kind of like, what are you going to do? Because who else do you have to start? Nobody. There's nobody. It's not like you're going to be like, and if you're sitting in section 301, seat number 5, you get to pitch the next inning. That's not how it's going to work. Hopefully it never comes down to that. Although maybe somebody who is sitting in section 301, seat 5,
well, you never know.
Could be great. Row K, whatever. I don't know. Could be great. But the Dodgers, again, I just feel, and I know I sound like a broken record. They just are, they have these flashes of like they're doing great. And then like this 10-0 win, they did win on Sunday. Another, good win. They're going home, have 2 wins under their belt after a rough outing in San Diego, first game loss in Oakland. But they're not ready. They're not ready for the postseason. Sometimes I feel like I don't even know, because the Phillies are in town, or they're finishing up their series with the Phillies. I think they did that yesterday. And it's like, are they ready for the Phillies to come to town? I mean, it's like I'm looking at series by series.
Well, and they've got some tough ones coming up. They still got to see Baltimore, who is playing for a playoff spot. And of course, they're going to see San Diego again. So,
Yeah.
When we look at their schedule, it's Philly. The Mariners are going to be in town at one point. The Blue Jays. So they've got teams that are going to be tough to play, and teams that are looking to, especially in the Mariners, more than the Blue Jays, are fighting to get into the playoffs.
Right. And so that's why
for that.
That's why I'm looking, I look now, it's like by the series. So they finish up the series with Philly starting tomorrow. They have Pittsburgh coming in, and then they're on the road in the Central, Milwaukee and St. Louis. Those are two tough teams that will be both in the mix,
pushing to get into the postseason.
Yeah.
So those will be tough. The question's going to be is how does everybody that's on the IL, we're starting to see, Kershaw came back. Obviously, we've talked before about a couple other guys that came back from injuries and are still having problems, and they're down in the minors trying to figure all that out. One guy who is real close is Mookie Betts. We're within about a week or so, I think, from what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
And the word is he's going back to shortstop. And you can't really blame them for doing that, because if Gavin Lux hadn't been playing that well, putting him to second base and then letting Nick Ahmed or Ahmed Rosario play shortstop until Rojas comes back makes sense.
Right.
But in this case, as long as Gavin Lux, and here's the one thing that I feel like has been getting lost with Dave Roberts and his managing, and it's playing the hot hand. You've had players that it's like one of the things is Ahmed Rosario overall has hit better this year against either side, righties and lefties. And yet, and I think this came from way up on high, not directly from Dave, and Dave just plays the party line. It was like, oh, Ahmed Rosario is not going to start against righties. He's only going to start lefties. And you forget that he's actually having success overall against both sides. So why would you limit yourself, especially at a time frame when you're not really sure? You want these guys who can help you, give them the runway.
Right.
So that way, because you don't know what's going to happen. Everybody, the Dodgers didn't pick up. They picked up one frontline player in Jack Flaherty. Everybody else they picked up are guys that if they don't make the postseason roster, it's not a big deal. But you give them a chance to come in and earn a spot to play on the postseason roster. So once Mookie comes back, how's he going to be? We also can't look at any position that's going to come back and say there's not a chance. Okay, they're back and they're going to be back for the rest of the time. And they're going to play as great as they did. Mookie maybe, but there's other guys that may end up being injured, injured again. We see that happen.
I know.
So it's like, they should have gone out to get another, a higher level player, in the field, whether they got an outfielder, whether they got an infielder, they need somebody at short and they need somebody at third.
Well, I have some news on that. So you mentioned, of course, so Mookie Betts back at shortstop. There had been talk about maybe him going to the outfield, but they're like, nope, he's going back to shortstop. He's going to bat second. So Ohtani will stay in the leadoff.
Mhm.
And Max Muncy and Tommy Edman are expected to be in Oklahoma City this weekend on rehab assignments. Now, how long those assignments will be, I don't know. Will it be 2-3 games? I have no idea. So that is good news. That's trending up. Michael Grove, who as a starter, not so great sometimes. As a spot starter, okay. And maybe coming in those middle innings, that seems to be more what he needs instead of being a starter. So he's back. Gavin Biggio was DFA'd to make room on the roster for Freddie Freeman. So,
Right.
but with these other guys coming back, with Max Muncy eventually coming back, Tommy Edman going to come back, who's going to be going where? James Outman he's back in Oklahoma City. And I meant to mention this now. He is on, but Brewster Gratterall was great in his rehab and throwing just like Bazooka does, and threw 8 pitches. We're going to talk about this series, but just throw this out there because he made his debut back off of the IL, made his debut, threw 8 pitches. This is versus the Phillies, and tore. Well, that's what they said. They said, oh, this is horrible. It's hamstring. It's a grade 3 hamstring.
Which is the worst.
However, he had an MRI done, and it is a grade 1, and that is so much better than a grade 3. So there is hope that, yes, he's going to go back on the IL, but it's not as bad as a grade 3, which would have meant he would be out for the season. There is still hope that he could possibly come back for the end of the season and hopefully into the postseason.
But who knows?
But you don't know. Yeah.
And that's one thing that we have to watch. And that the Dodgers, I don't feel like in the past you felt like, okay, they addressed the needs better. Last season they didn't, but
no.
Previous.
I think they did a little bit. Yeah, I think a little bit better. Well, obviously with Jack Flaherty, we needed pitching. Everybody needs pitching, but with Jack Flaherty, I think even with Michael Kopech, that was good. I don't know about Tommy Edman, but you're right. I feel as though I think that Andrew Friedman needs to go. We need some shakeup in the front offices of the Dodgers. We need somebody who is out to get to the World Series. And I know that ownership will say, we want a championship back in LA. We want the World Series back in LA. But do they want the Dodgers to win? Because they really care about putting people in the seats, and people will go to Dodger Stadium. They're going to buy hot dogs and beer and all the stuff. And I think that the attendance part, being top of the attendance, matters way more than what's actually happening on the field.
Well, and they've said as much.
Right.
That, hey, we're getting over 3 million fans a year. We lead all of that. The money's coming in. The cost of tickets is high. It used to be a few years back. Obviously, things have changed, but a few years back, you could go to a Dodger game, pick up tickets on the secondary market, be decent field level seats, and pay, maybe $50 a seat. Now, on StubHub when I was looking at some games because Cleveland's coming to town. I'd like to go see them play the Guardians, and they all the field level seats were all at minimum 250. Now I know it's secondary market, so people are going to lift them up, but even when you try to go through the Dodgers or to the MLB sites, they're still way up there. And you used to be able to go to games a lot cheaper. So they're pricing a lot of people out. And imagine, I'm just looking at me or Blanca and I to go to a game. We're looking at prices that just a few years ago was a family of 4 or 5 or a group of 4 or 5 going to a game. And now we're just getting priced out. And it's like parking is $30. Tickets are 150 a piece. I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't have that kind of money.
So, it's I think a lot of times too, you start looking, you see that the upper decks or the outfield are full and not as many seats down on and more empty seats on the field level at a lot of games. I've noticed it anyway, because they just can't afford to sit down there. And I don't think the owners, it still costs a lot less to go to a baseball game, but.
Yeah, I know. I just pulled this up. So again, this is the Guardians, in September, and it's field, but it's at 100, and this is from the MLB the app, the ballpark app.
So tickets directly from
$142. So $143 because $142.60, because the ticket is actually $127, but then you got fees,
right,
that are crazy. So yeah, I just feel like the product on the field is not, it's not the players. The players are playing. The players want to win. But I feel like Dave Roberts is hand-tied in a lot of ways, with his comments about Rosario. Well, we didn't get him to do this. We got him to bat, for against left-handers. He said that on Saturday in Oakland, but then Sunday, guess who was in the lineup against a right-hander? So I think the messaging is off from the front office. You're still going to be a fan. It's not like I'm not going to love the Dodgers any less. They're still my team, but I feel like there's a huge disconnect between ownership and the front office and the people who are coming to the games and the fans. And we see that a lot across all of baseball. In more severe cases, like, Oakland, I think we can throw Anaheim in there too. But, the Dodgers ownership and even I think their front office, they need to be careful because it may not always be, it's all right. Yeah, they have Ohtani, they have Betts, they have Freeman, but then if they're not going to the postseason, well, they're going to the postseason, but they're out in the first round every single year, then nobody's going to care.
Nobody's going to care.
Nobody's going to care. I don't, again, for this, just as for the Angels, I don't have a player of the week for the Dodgers. I'm sure there was someone, but I'm just not feeling it. Not feeling it with the Dodgers right now. In fact, now school has started back. I've been at school, so been busy, but I tune into the games.
Excuses.
I tune into the games, but there are a lot of times where I just get frustrated, And I'm just like, I just gotta turn this off for a little bit, and then I'll turn it back on. But I have to have those breaks, because I just feel like there's what they say they want to do, where they say they want to go, what they say they want to win. That's not what. That's what they're saying, but that's not what that's not what is being presented. I rest my case. The defense rest.
Time to hop in the bullpen cart and zoom around baseball. And as usual, we like to start off with the MLB's picks for players of the week. And I guess they're the only ones this week. Normally we have our own, but this week, just the MLB style.
All right, players of the week for MLB in the American League: Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays. Over this last week, Vladdy Jr. hit .536, had 3 home runs, 7 doubles, and 8 RBIs. And in the National League, Blake Snell.
Well, what else? He
finally. He's
Gets
won two. Exactly. Has won 2 Cy Youngs. Has not had a complete game. He had a no-hitter against Cincinnati, 11 strikeouts and 3 walks. And he said, everybody can be quiet now. Well, guess what, Blake? We're going to still talk about it because it's only 1, dude. You only got 1. Whoopie-doo.
Right. You are not now on some kind of pedestal with the greats because you got 1. Go back and how many times have you seen this? It's like he started, pitcher from way back, started 800 games in his career and 795 of them were complete games.
Right. Okay. The thing about Blake Snell is this is the first time he's gone past 6 innings. The first time. That's even worse. I mean, just that.
And, Framber Valdez the other day was like an out from from another complete game.
Right.
This is just happening there with no hitter.
Yeah.
And chances are if he didn't have a no hitter going, he would have been out by the 6th inning.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause that's how it is. So, so he is the NL player of the week, but that was a gimme.
Yeah, that was anytime you throw a no hitter, you're going to be the player of the week.
Yep.
Whichever league you're in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we're at the beginning of August here, so we must have some players of the month, as
we do.
We talked about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. All right. Our Major League Baseball monthly award winners for July. The American League Player of the Month is no other than the phenom from Kansas City, Bobby Witt Jr.
Home Run Derby runner-up.
Yeah. He had a monster month in July. 7 home runs. He had an MLB best, so that's all of MLB, 1.353 OPS. And he is the first Royal to earn Player of the Month honors since Billy Butler did it in September of 2009.
Wow. That is a while.
And
what is that, like 15 years?
Yeah, 15 years. He had 44 hits and a .489 batting average, and the last player to at least match the hits and the average, Lou Gehrig in June of 1930.
Wow.
And Yeah. Colorado's own Brenton Doyle is the National League Player of the Month. He had a rough June. He only had a 543 OPS, but when the calendar hit July, he had a 5-game stretch that included 4 home runs, 27 total bases. He had 11 home runs. No other player had more, and 19 extra base hits. Just in the month of July, he had a 333 batting average and drove in 27 runs during the month. So congratulations to both of those, Witt Jr. and Doyle for AL and NL Player of the Month. And now we'll look at the pitchers of the month. And that would be in Tampa Bay, the AL Pitcher of the Month, Taj Bradley. Same thing, not looking good in June, but here comes July, and he had a 3-start stretch, and he allowed no runs and just 7 hits over 20 innings. His scoreless streak reached 24 innings before it was finally snapped on the final day of the month, and batters hit just 160 against him in July. And this is really no surprise. The NL Pitcher of the Month is San Diego's Dylan Cease. He had the second no-hitter in Padres franchise history on July 25th against the Nationals. And he'd been in his previous 2 starts, he only gave up only 1 hit leading up to his no-hitter. And he had 30 strikeouts over the month. This makes him the first pitcher since at least 1901 with 30 or more strikes and 2 or fewer hits allowed over a 3-outing span.
Nice.
Yeah. And we have our rookies of the month. The AL Rookie of the Month comes from Detroit, Colt Keith. Kind of a cool name, Colt Keith. Yeah. 322 batting average. He had 12 walks, which were only 3 fewer than his walk total through the season's first 3+ months. And 7 of his 11 home runs that he has hit all came during the month of July. The National League Rookie of the Month is San Francisco's Tyler Fitzgerald, and he's put himself in the record books for Giants history. He had a crazy home run streak in July. We saw that in against the Dodgers, but he became the first rookie in franchise history to go deep in 5 consecutive games. He also homered 7 times in 8 games and 8 times in 10. That's a feat that only Barry Bonds had achieved in the past 20 years. On the whole, he registered an .846 slugging percentage and a 1.239 OPS in July.
One did was now Barry did it with the clear and the cream.
Yeah.
As far as we know,
without.
He did it without.
Yeah. American League Reliever of the Month, Emmanuel Clase from Cleveland. He has received this honor twice this season and 6 times since the beginning of 2022. And he allowed 1 earned run and 1 extra base hit over 11 innings. He left hitters with a scant, get this, 329 OPS. The American League leader in saves went 8 for 8 in save opportunities last month, not including his save in the All-Star game. And the National League Reliever of the Month, Tanner Scott of Miami, now of San Diego. Obviously, he increased his value leading up to the trade deadline. He had 9 2/3 scoreless innings with 1 hit and 15 strikeouts in July, and that hit came In his final appearance with the Marlins before he went to San Diego, he owns a 1.18 ERA through 45 and 2/3 innings this season. He's made 17 consecutive scoreless appearances dating back to June 17th. And those are your Major League Baseball players of the month.
I heard something interesting as we move away from all of that positive, that the Oakland A's are limiting the number of tickets that can be sold so that they can bump up the prices. So even though there's like 20,000 seats left, they're saying, oh, we're down to like the last 15 seats, better get your seats. And then they can bump the prices up on, whatever the amount that's actually left.
So in the Dodger game on Sunday, Steven Nelson and Jessica Mendoza were calling that game for the Dodgers on Sportsnet LA. And they did not pull punches when it came to ownership with the A's, what was going on in the Coliseum, with the Coliseum. And Jessica Mendoza said, this is it. This has been a huge part of Oakland. And people work here. Dontrell Willis, they mentioned, his mom was an usher there. And Dontrell Willis said, if it wasn't for the A's, they helped me get to where I am. Like, I could have turned out totally different. But they helped me where to get. And so that's like, there's powerful things that happen, and you think, oh, it's just a stadium. But there's powerful things that happen. And Jessica Mendoza said, why aren't they letting people in for free? Why are, because it's like, or have a day, celebrate the fans. They're not going to do that though.
No.
And I think it's sad. It's a sad commentary on ownership in baseball. It's like, you want to be like the Green Bay Packers and have, fan ownership. How would that change things?
Well, still probably a problem getting a stadium built, but
oh yes,
that would actually work out better, because then the fans who have also voted these things down would be more motivated to do that. And not only like Dontrell Willis, D-Train, I didn't realize that about him, but Dave Stewart, who was a great pitcher, not only for the Dodgers, but for the A's. The same thing with his connection to Reggie Jackson while Reggie was an A. And that connection, you're right. It changed. You see a lot of that how many guys became A's fans and went on to play baseball, or even if they went on to do something else, it was because that connection that helped take them away from, something that was more destructive and gave them something positive. And, I just don't, the ownership there through the years after Chuck Finley left, it's a whole different thing. And they're not, what happened? Why did it just became a money-making scheme for what's his name? Steve Fisher, I think is his name, the owner. Yeah. And now you got Vegas, come up in a few years, Sacramento next year. And, I wonder, I don't know what the capacity is at the Rivercat Stadium there in Sacramento.
I mean, it's a triple-A ball club, and they're going to have to play around their schedule. And I mean, it'll work to a certain extent because minor league they play 6 games. So they're not on the road as much. I mean, so they play longer series on the road, I guess I should say.
Right.
But that means they also play longer series when they're at home. So,
well, but 6 games, and typically when you go on the road, you're gone for a couple of series.
Right.
So
I mean, it'll work itself out, but
we can see by looking because the 2025 schedule's out.
That's true.
And we can see how it works out for him there.
Yeah.
But I don't. I was just wondering about what I wonder what the capacity is there for in River Cat. So
yeah,
Sacramento
don't know.
River Cats. It's Sutter Health Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking up to see if it mentions.
Well, I wonder too. I mean, it's hard. I get why the fans are, I guess, boycotting the going to the cost. I get it. I know I have said I feel like you're a fan of the team, of the players, of the team, not the owner, but the team. Go watch them play. That's me. But I know a lot of people feel like, yeah, but then I'm just putting money in the owner's pocket. It's kind of, it's like a catch-22. Like I want to watch them, but I don't want to be contributing to this, this ticket sales and stuff like that. So I get it. But are they going to show up in Sacramento?
Well, I don't know. So here's what I see. And I don't know if they're making any changes to the ballpark to accommodate them or if they're leaving it alone. But based on Wikipedia,
okay,
there's 10,624 seats. The total capacity, including seats, is 14,014. That includes the seats, the lawn seating, and standing room.
And that's what I was going to ask you, because like here in Albuquerque, they have the berm, and that's the lawn seating. So, I guess it'd kind of like be the, like playing for them, like in a spring training.
Right.
Park.
So the grass out in the outfield, and so you can throw in between standing room only and the lawn about another just a little under 4,000 more fans. So honestly, based on what they draw generally in Oakland, and this year maybe they might, especially as the end goes, as people get nostalgic, they may go, okay, I got to go get at least one more game in.
Well, and when they played the Dodgers, they had more, but that's the Dodgers.
But Sunday, when they're showing the game on Sunday, all of the field level seats that you saw, there were more blue than there was green and gold.
Right. That's right.
So of course, and it's not that far away. It's an hour flight.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on when you want to go, you can fly up there for the weekend. Friday night wasn't as Dodger-ful.
Right.
But Saturday and Sunday.
Dodger-ful. I like that.
So we'll see, what happens when they go and play in Sacramento over the next couple of seasons. But yeah, they've handled it really poorly.
Mm-hmm. And I think, well, especially now, I mean, saying, oh, you better get your seats. And then they jack up the prices. It's like, really, it's like one more knife into the, for the fans.
Right. And that's the sad part too, is they actually have pieces on that team that are worth going out to watch. Lawrence Butler, who is a right fielder, has really been hitting well. And
Brent Rooker.
They were talking about Brent Rooker. You were talking about Jessica Mendoza was talking about Lawrence Butler on the Sunday broadcast. And then Mason Miller, who was their only all-star. And we talked about him last week breaking his pinky. He's back off of there, and this is a guy who in the All-Star game was throwing 103.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got a lot of pieces. Some are better than others, but Brent Rooker, Lawrence Butler, Zach Geloff's having his moments, not as great, but they're playing well enough that probably had they started on a little bit more of a hot streak, they'd probably be ahead of the Angels right now. And I think that overall, they have a lot of the issues too. They've got guys playing that are learning and coming up, learning their field, OJT MLB style, and then they just need some better pitching. And they have better pitching overall than the Angels do.
Yeah.
But now Ben Joyce, now that Carlos Estevez is gone, and it was weird to see him in a Phillies uniform in the bullpen and in the ravine. But you've got him taking over. You've got some young guys. These are two teams that are on the same path. They both kind of need to do the same things, and they both have bad ownership.
Mm-hmm.
But they both have decent managers and coaching staffs. Mark Kotze. In fact, when Mason Miller came back, Mark Kotze was the first person to step in against him during a bullpen session. And he said, hey, I played. I've been up against stuff like that. Why not? Yeah. But that just shows, hey, I trust in what you're throwing to get in the box with you. And then that way I can see what you're doing because I know what it should look like coming at me. So White Sox, which they've been playing Oakland this week.
Yeah, speaking of.
Here's a team that's going to be 100 plus. I don't know what the record is for the most losses in a season is, but I think they're on a pace to break it, whatever it is.
I think so too.
So 21 straight losses for the White Sox. And it's just got to be, if you're, Garrett Crochet, who everybody wants, isn't that kind of like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know that it's ironic, but you got this guy who is like a sought after pitcher, who's one of the top pitchers in the game, but he plays on a losing team. He's got good numbers on a losing team. I bet you Luis Robert Jr. was like, yes, trade me.
Yeah, please.
And if I was Garrett Crochet, I would have made it as easy as possible because a lot of teams kind of turned up their nose to him because of all the stuff that he wanted.
Right.
In order to come over.
And I kind of wonder about that because I'm like, you're playing for the White Sox. So that's really all these things you need. I know he wanted he wanted an extension.
Yeah, like 5-year extension.
Yeah, I think that's out of control.
There was a lot of questions about the rest of the season and his pitching. Because like a lot of players, he's pitching more innings than he ever has. Mm-hmm. Just like we're watching Tyler Glass closely now, because he's gone over the most innings he's ever pitched.
Right.
So, 120 for him. Now I saw a graphic. It was like 125. It's been more now. But what's going to happen? We're going to see these things where are these guys going to break down? Will he break down? Would have bringing him in made a difference for the Dodgers because would he have been able to make it through and pitched effectively in the playoffs, which that's what you trade for. Players that you hope will help you out for some teams to get to the playoffs. And for teams like the Dodgers who expect to be in the playoffs will help them win and move on.
I was thinking about the White Sox and just thinking about like who's on their team. You mentioned Garrett Crochet. You have Luis Robert Jr. But then you also had, whatever happened to Andrew Benintendi, who was going to be the guy, right? And now it's kind of fitting, right, that he plays for the White Sox because his career is just kind of gone.
Kansas City, Boston, and wonder
what happened there. The White Sox 21 game losing streak, the longest losing streak. So, and I know that there is a line in a sports betting line, whatever it's called, for this particular. I'm almost positive. I haven't checked it out, but I'm positive. And it's 23. The 1961 Philadelphia Phillies lost 23 straight. That's the National League record. The American League is the Baltimore Orioles in 1988, and they 21. So they tied them. But that's all of the memes or just that you've seen of Miguel Vargas and just Miguel Vargas in general. That's got to hurt. Like, I was on the Dodgers. I sat next to Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani
and Mookie
and Mookie, and I played with them, and now I'm here. I did hear that there was they're going to fire the manager,
Pedro.
Yeah, and they're going to put the interim manager as a bench coach. I'm like, we have not heard that has happened, but what would it matter? He's
to
the
what
bench
end?
To the bench coach is still there. It's not like, he's going to make some miraculous change and be like, oh, I was holding this in my back pocket just in case I got,
I don't think, I guess we would know what kind of manager Grifol is if he had taken this team that's just so bad anyway and done something with them. But the White Sox maybe need to look at Pedro and see if he is a Torey Lovello kind of guy. Because remember how bad the Diamondbacks were, and the Diamondbacks extended Torey when we thought he was going to be fired.
Yeah.
And now look, they're contending for the playoffs this year. They made it to the World Series last year. Maybe they just sometimes you got to stop and watch. It's just like the idea about Ron Washington getting fired. It's like, why? He's doing exactly what you need him to do, what you want him to do, to build this team up so that they can compete, so they can become, one of those teams.
I mean, the bench coach that would take over if Pedro were to be fired would be Charlie Montano. I mean,
what was he? Let's see. How did he do when he was in Philly?
Well, and Toronto.
The Blue Jays. Whatever happened there?
Yeah.
All I could say is, if I was a member of the White Sox, I probably would want to go all Anthony Rendon and spend the season on the wheel. Oh, I would make myself dizzy spinning on that wheel if I was the White Sox.
You're like, are you ready to come back? I don't think I'm ready yet. Not quite.
Remember my hip injury? Now I have a pierced eardrum, and my equilibrium is off.
All right, let's take a look at this wheel. The Orioles' Jordan Westburg is on the IL. He has a fractured right hand. Not sure how long that will take to heal and what the timeline is for him, but he is on the IL. Tyler O'Neill of the Red Sox, who was the AL Player of the Week last week. A left leg infection, so he's out. Ooh, he's on the 10-day IL.
Sound good.
No. Cody Bellinger is listed as day-to-day with sore hamstring. Blake Trinan is on the IL with a left hip discomfort. Ha-Seong Kim is listed as day-to-day with dealing with some tricep issues. Wilmer Flores of the San Francisco Giants is out for the season with a knee injury. Lance Lynn of the Cardinals is on the 15-day IL with knee soreness, but looks like he may be coming back. He got some injections. He's ready to go. This one I had to leave for last because we've heard this before. I think he brings it out when he's got other things to do. Max Scherzer, his arm is tired. He has arm fatigue, so he is on the 15-day IL.
Pretty standard.
Yep.
And the Rangers are probably not going to get past the Mariners or the Asterix. And I think the Asterix have the tiebreaker if they were to do something. So that's probably better.
Yeah. Maybe he was reading. He was, looking in his crystal ball, reading the tea leaves. He was reading the room, and he was like, "Oh, my arm."
He was really just looking at the standings. And then what the Rangers have coming up for the rest of the season, and decided, I don't think so.
That could be it too. But yeah, so that is the wheel of IL. We still have a lot of guys spinning. There are so many guys that are 60-day IL. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think we went to like triple, quadruple decker on that 60-day.
It's crazy.
Along with the and all those guys who are Tommy John wheel, and it's out of control. All right, that'll do it for this week's Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast. Thanks for riding around in the bullpen cart with us and taking a look around baseball, and of course talking Angels and Dodgers. Remember, you can find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A,
and on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A,
and our website siblingrivalrybb.com. Check that out. Check the Fanatics links out. There are a few other little things. We haven't really paid a lot of attention to the website.
I know. I'm sorry about that. That's my fault. And I want it to be more than it is. And I think I need to take like a class or something.
But, there's stuff there. There's a little bit here and there. So you can always check it out. And you can always find, any of most of our episodes show up there. Of course, you can always find all of our episodes on your favorite podcast platform, because we're on all of them. All right. Next week, we'll talk more about, is Mookie back? What kind of an impact's that? Are the Dodgers ready to go? What kind of deals going on with the Angels? I think for the Angels, we're pretty much in silver linings for the rest of the season, but we'll talk about how things are progressing there and what else is going on around baseball as we get closer and closer. And Little League World Series, we'll start talking about that, because I watch out for the team in Lake Mary, Florida.
All right.
They've got a couple players there and a pitcher that I think he's pretty much unstoppable. They took out Tennessee so that they earned their berth from the Southeast. And we'll talk more about that, the teams that are winning their spots and getting to the World Series, and anything else that pops up. So until next week, go see some live baseball, and don't forget to swing away.